Living in the World. Chapter 12. Be Nobody. Being happy also means being peaceful, but quite often... Being happy also means being peaceful, but quite often people do not really want to direct their attention to that. Peacefulness connotes not interesting, or not enough happening. The absence of proliferations or excitement. Yet peace is very hard to find anywhere. It is difficult to attain, and very few people really work at it. Peace seems to negate life, to deny our personal supremacy. Only those who practice a spiritual discipline care to direct their mind toward it. Our natural tendency is to cultivate our superiority, which often falls into the other extreme of inferiority. So long as we have our own superiority in mind, we cannot find peace. All we find is a power game. Anything you can do, I can do better. Or at times, when it is quite obvious that this is not so, then it's anything you can do, or anything you can do, I cannot do as well. There are moments of truth in everyone's life when one sees quite clearly that one can't do everything as well as the next person, whether it's sweeping a path or writing a book. A feeling of superiority or inferiority is the opposite of peacefulness. A display of one's abilities, or the lack of them, will produce restlessness. There is always the reaching out, the craving for a result in the form of other people's admiration, or their denial of it. When they deny it, there is warfare. When they affirm it, there is victory. In war, there is never a winner, only losers. No matter who signs the peace treaty first, both sides lose. The same applies to a feeling of being victorious, of being the one who knows better, or who is stronger or cleverer. Battle and peace do not go well together. One wonders in the end, does anybody really want peace? Is anybody really trying to get it? We must inquire into our innermost hearts if peace is what we really want. Such an inquiry is difficult. Most people have a thick steel door in front of their hearts. They cannot find out what is going on inside. But everyone needs to try to get in as far as possible and check their priorities. In moments of turmoil, when we are either not getting the supremacy we want or we feel really inferior, then all we desire is peace. When our unrest and feeling of inferiority subside, then what happens? Is it really peace we want, or do we want to be somebody special, somebody important, or lovable? A somebody never has peace. This is an interesting simile about a mango tree. A king went riding in the forest and encountered a mango tree laden with fruit. He said to his servants, "Go back in the evening and collect the mangoes," because he wanted them for the royal dining table. The servants went back to the forest, but returned to the palace empty-handed. "Sorry, your majesty," they told the king. "The mangoes were all gone. There was not a single mango left on the tree." The king thought the servants had been too lazy to go back to the forest, so he rode out there to see for himself. What he saw instead of a beautiful mango tree laden with fruit was a pitiful, bedraggled tree. Someone had broken all the branches to take the fruit. As the king rode a little further, he came upon another mango tree, beautiful in all of its green splendor, but without a single fruit. Nobody had wanted to go near it. It bore no fruit, so it was left in peace. The king went back to his palace, gave his royal crown and scepter to his ministers, and said, "You may now have the kingdom. I'm going to go live in the forest." When one is nobody and has nothing, there is no danger of warfare or attack, and there is peace. The mango tree laden with fruit did not have a moment's peace. Everybody wanted its fruit. If we really want peace, we have to be nobody. Neither important, nor clever, nor beautiful, nor famous, nor right, nor in charge of anything. We need to be unobtrusive and have as few attributes as possible. The mango tree with no fruit was standing peacefully in all its splendor, giving shade. To be nobody does not mean doing nothing. It means acting without self-display and without craving for results. The mango tree had shade to give, but it did not display its wares or fret whether anybody wanted its shade. This ability allows for inner peace. It is a rare ability, because most people vacillate from one extreme to another, either doing nothing and thinking, "Let them see how they get along without me," or being in charge and projecting their views and ideas. Being somebody, it seems, is so much more ingrained and important than having peace. So we need to inquire with great care what we are truly looking for. What is it that we want out of life? If we want to be important, appreciated, and loved, then we have to take their opposites in stride. Every positive brings with it a negative, just as a sun throws shadows. If we want one, we must accept the other, without moaning about it. But if we really want a peaceful heart and mind, inner security and stability, then we have to give up wanting to be somebody. Anybody. Body and mind will not disappear because of that. What subsides is the urge to affirm the importance and supremacy of this particular person whom I call me. Every human being considers himself or herself important. There are billions of people on this globe. How many will mourn us? Count them for a moment. 6 or 8 or 12 or 15 out of all these billion. Maybe we have a vastly exaggerated idea of our importance. The more we understand this, the easier life is. Wanting to be somebody is dangerous. It's like playing with a fire, and it hurts constantly. And other people will not play by our rules. People who really manage to be somebody, like heads of state, invariably need a bodyguard because they are in danger of their lives. Among the countless things in our world, all the people, animals, and natural and man-made objects, the only ones we have any jurisdiction over are our own heart and mind. If we really want to be somebody, we could try to be that rare person who is in charge of his own heart and mind. Becoming somebody like that is not only very rare, it also brings the most beneficial results. Such a person does not fall into the trap of the defilements. There is a story about Ajahn Chah, a famous meditation master in northeast Thailand. He was once accused of having a lot of hatred. Ajahn Chah replied, "That may be so, but I don't make any use of it." An answer like this comes from a deep understanding of one's own nature. It is a rare person who will not allow himself defiled thought, speech, or action. Such a person is really somebody. He does not have to prove it to anyone else, because it is quite obvious. Not to mention that he has no desire to prove anything. There is only one abiding interest, and that is one's own peace of mind. When we have peace of mind as our priority, everything in the mind and all speech or action is directed toward it. Anything that does not create peace of mind is discarded. We must not confuse this with being right or having the last word, however. Others need not agree. Peace of mind is our own. We can all find it if we make the effort. (13) War and Peace. War and peace, the epic saga of humanity, are all that our history books contain, because they are what our hearts contain. If you ever read Don Quixote, you will remember that he was fighting windmills. Don Quixote believed himself to be a great warrior. He thought that every windmill he came across was an enemy and battled with it. That is exactly what we do within our hearts, and that is why this story has such an everlasting appeal. It tells us about ourselves. Writers and poets have always sought to tell us who we are. Mostly we do not listen, because it does not help when somebody else tells us what is wrong with us. We have to find out for ourselves, and most people do not want to do that. What does it really mean to fight windmills? It means fighting nothing important or real, just imaginary enemies and battles, trifling matters that we build into something solid and formidable. We say, "I can't stand that," and we start fighting. "I don't like him," and a battle ensues. "I feel so unhappy," and an inner war rages. We hardly ever know what we are so unhappy about. The weather, food, people, work, leisure, the country, anything at all will do. Why does this happen to us? Because of our resistance to letting go and becoming what we really are, namely nothing. Nobody cares to be that. Everybody wants to be somebody. Somebody who knows and acts, who has certain attributes, views, opinions, and ideas, even if it is only Don Quixote tilting against windmills. We even hold on to patently wrong views because they make the eye more solid. We may think it is negative and depressing to be nobody and have nothing, but in fact, we may find out for ourselves it is the most exhilarating and liberating feeling that we can ever have. But because we fear that windmills might attack us, we do not let go of our illusions. Why can we not have peace in the world? Because nobody wants to disarm. Not a single country is ready to sign a total disarmament pact. All of us bemoan this fact. But have we ever looked to see whatever we have disarmed? When we have not done so, is it any wonder that nobody else has? Nobody wants to be the first one without weapons, out of fear that others might attack. Does it really matter? If there is nobody there, who can be conquered? How can there be a victory over nobody? Let those who fight win every war. All that matters is to have peace in one's heart. War manifests itself externally in violence, aggression, and killing. But how does it reveal itself internally? We each carry an arsenal within us, our ill will and anger, our desires and cravings. But we ourselves are hurt by the violence we carry within us. The proof is that we do not feel peaceful inside. Sometimes another person comes within range and is wounded. Sometimes a bomb goes off in our heart and causes a disaster. We need not believe anything. We can just find out whether there is peace and joy in our hearts. If they are lacking, most people try to find them outside of themselves. That is how all wars start. It is always the other country's fault. And if one cannot find anyone to blame, then it becomes a case of needing more Lebensraum. More room for expansion, more territorial sovereignty. In personal terms, one needs more entertainment, more pleasure, more comfort, more distractions. If we cannot find anyone else to blame for our lack of peace, then we believe it to be an unfulfilled need. Few of us come to see that the windmills we tilt against are imaginary, that they will vanish if we do not endow them with strength and importance, that we can open our hearts without fear and gently, gradually, let go of our preconceived notions and opinions, our views and ideas, our habits and reactions. When all that fades away, what do we have left? A large open space that we can fill with whatever we like. If we are wise, we will fill it with love. compassion, and equanimity, then there is nothing left to fight. Only joy and peacefulness remain. We cannot find these outside of ourselves. There is no opening in us through which peace might enter. We may have to start within and work outward. Until we are clear about this, we will always find another crusade. Imagine what it was like in the days of the Crusades. There were those noble knights who spent all their wealth on equipping themselves with the most modern and advanced weapons, outfitting horses and troops, then setting off to bring religion to the infidels. Some died on the way because of hardships and battles, and those who reached their destination, the Holy Land, still did not get any results, only more warfare. When we look at this today, it seems utterly foolish, even ridiculous. Yet we do the same in our own lives. If, for instance, we open our diary and read about something that upset us 3 or 4 years ago, it may now seem quite absurd. We cannot remember why it was so important. We are constantly engaged in such foolishness over trifles, and we expend much energy trying to work them out to our satisfaction. Would it not be much better to forget such mental formations and attend to what is really important? There is only one thing that is important to every being, and that is a peaceful and happy heart. This cannot be bought or found, nor can it be given away. Ramana Maharshi, a sage in southern India, said, "Peace and happiness are not our birthright. Whoever has attained them has done so by continual effort." Some people have an idea that peace and happiness are synonymous with doing nothing, having no duties or responsibilities, and being looked after by others. That is laziness. To gain peace and happiness, we have to make unrelenting effort in our own hearts. We cannot achieve it by trying to acquire more and more, only by wanting less and less, by becoming emptier and emptier, until there is just open space to be filled with peace and happiness. As long as our hearts are full of likes and dislikes, how can peace and happiness find room? We can find peace within ourselves in any situation, place, or circumstance, but only through effort, not through distraction. The world offers distractions and sense contacts, and they are quite often tempting. The more action there is, the more distracted the mind can be, and the less we have to look at our own dukkha. When we take the time and opportunity to introspect, we find a different inner reality from the one we imagined. Many people quickly look away again. They do not want to know about it. It is nobody's fault that there is dukkha. The only cure is letting go. It is really quite simple, but few people believe this enough to try it out. There is a well-known simile about a monkey trap of this kind used in Asia. A wooden container with a small opening. Inside lies a sweet. The monkey, attracted by the sweet, puts his paw into the opening and grasps the sweet. When he wants to draw his paw out again, he cannot get his fist out with the sweet through the narrow opening. He is trapped until the hunter comes and captures him. He does not realize that all he has to do to be free is to let go of the sweet. That is what our lives are all about. It traps us because we want it nice and sweet. Not being able to let go, we are caught in the ever-recurring cycle of happiness and unhappiness, hope and despair. We never try to free ourselves by letting go. Indeed, we resist and reject such a notion. Yet we all agree that all that matters are peace and happiness, which can only exist in a free mind and heart. There is a lovely story from Nasruddin, the Sufi master, who was gifted in telling absurd tales. One day, the story goes, he sent one of his disciples to the market and asked him to buy a bag of chilies. The disciple did as requested and brought the bag to Nasruddin, who began to eat the chilies, one after another. Soon his face turned red, his nose started running, and his eyes began to water, and he was choking. The disciple observed this for a while with awe and then said, "Sir, your face is turning red. Your eyes are watering and you are choking. Why don't you stop eating these chilies? Nasruddin replied, I'm waiting for a sweet one. The teaching aid of chilies. We too are waiting for something somewhere that will create peace and happiness for us. Meanwhile, there is nothing but dukkha. Our eyes are watering, our noses are running, but we still don't set aside our creations. There must be a sweet one at the bottom of the bag. It is no use thinking, hearing, or reading about it. We must look inside our own hearts and grasp the reality within. The more the heart is wanting and desiring, the harder and more difficult life becomes. Why fight all these windmills? We have built them so we can dismantle them too. It is rewarding to see what clutters our hearts and minds. When we do so, we find emotion after emotion. Instead of justifying them or making allowances, we realize that they constitute the world's battlegrounds. So we start dismantling our weapons, and disarmament becomes a reality.